good at times. It's like anything. I mean, we're still, a lot of work.
In the middle of the training camp.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Long way to go still.
We heard it came down to one play at the end of practice. How'd they deal with that?
Oh, they did. They did a good job. They executed. Ross made a good read and a good throw, and D-Rob came back downhill, made a play on 3rd and 3. So, but I thought, that's just one play. There were a number of times during the 3rd down series, because we ran a long 3rd down series where the defense made a lot of plays. So, but on that last one, it was good to see them, finish that way.
What did you see out of the quarterbacks when you finally got back to watch the tape of the scrimmage?
I think they all did. Kind of like what I said. They all did some good things, and they all still made mistakes that, we can't have. When we look at us as a whole, as an offense, you definitely can't have the amount of turnovers / 15-yarders that we had. So we got to own that. We got to understand that. I mean, it's tough to win ball games when you put that much out there. But what I will say is, like I've said from the get-go from I got here, I believe strongly they're sponge-type guys. They are. They're sponge-type guys. This locker room's full of, the right attitude in that way. And what I mean by sponge is they want to take in the info. What do we got to do? So I think we've taken strides since then. But you did see some good things, too. It was very sporadic scrimmage offensively, in terms of ups and downs, but we got in a little rhythm where I think, we scored 4 out of 5 drives, something like that. But then on the flip side, the defense kind of stifled us then for 4 or 5 or 6 straight, near the end. So we got to do a good job of being, just more balanced throughout.
You're at the midpoint now, not necessarily of camp, but between when you started and when the first game is. Do you feel like you're on track offensively with where you kind of envisioned going into camp, or maybe a little bit more to work on than you were thinking?
No, I think it's it. I think to answer your question, I think there's areas where I could say, yeah, compared, all I can do is compare it to other seasons that I've been involved in and where I've been practice 13. There's areas I can say, gosh, I think we're a little ahead in this area. And then there's areas where I think, I'm not as far along, we're not as far along as I've, felt like I've been in the past. So we're somewhere in between, and that's just how it is. But even if you think you're ahead in certain areas, you got to keep on progressing in those. And then in certain areas where maybe, gosh, we're not where we need to be, we got to really hone in on those, focus on those. But I'm excited again about the growth of this team and where we're headed. And we still have more practices left than we've had, before that first game. So we still have a lot of opportunities to keep growing before we hit game 1.
Talk with Gage Gubert and Vernon Adams just about your offense and how easy it is to learn. What went into making this offense and making it so relatively easy to learn despite its complexity?
Oh, it's just years of stealing things from people. That's the best way I can say it. I mean, like all offenses, but that's all it is. I mean, you learn it. You learn things. That's your base. And my base started back from a one-back system, and really you can go back to WSU Mike Price and my quarterback coach Greg Olson, who's now with the Rams, and he was out of that and been all over the place. But that's where it kind of started. But then you progress over 20 plus years, and you pick up. You got to keep evolving. You got to keep trying to learn and understand and try to evolve, but you got to make sure too that it still fits within what you believe in your system. So we were always able to kind of intermix some new ideas, new things, but all the while not lose the foundation of who we are.
What do you think makes it so adaptable? Because obviously you had every year you had different types of quarterbacks, but every year you had success offensively.
Yeah, just the word multiple. It really is. I mean, it's a multiple enough offense that I believe you can adapt to your personnel and what you have. And maybe some years you do more of some things, and then other years, you do more of others. There's things we did differently with Gage last year that we didn't do with Vernon, or vice versa. If you go all the way back to some of the other guys, whether it be, Beau Mitchell or, Eric Meyer, whoever it might have been. So it just there's enough versatility to it. But when you come into a season, I think you got to be careful of trying to do it all, and you got to pare it down to what fits, your personnel, not just quarterback, but just personnel in general.
Because at some point there's a pipe that's a certain diameter, and you can't shove all of it through that pipe.
You're exactly right.
You've had some really high-powered offenses and some really good players over the years, but you've never had the nation's leading high school rusher like Trey Watson or a 5-star receiver like Demetrius. Do you kind of look towards the next couple of weeks and with some anticipation to how you can use some of these tools that you now have in your toolbox?
Oh yeah, I look forward to it. Not just use some of the tools, but not just Trey or not just D-Rob, but just the whole group of guys, and just see. You want to see him get out there. My anticipation starts seeing him get out there and do it for real. you know, but all the while, I don't want to. I wouldn't want to skip ahead tomorrow and be there, you know, because there's still so much work to do. And I'm excited. My anticipation now goes towards tomorrow's practice and coming off the field and watching this film and what we can do that way. So yes, it is. I'm just excited. You know, honestly, I don't pay much attention to those things and what those things were 3, 4, 5 years ago. I'm excited to watch these guys out here, no matter how many stars were next to their name or anything like that, and see them grow every day, and then eventually, you know, get to a point where we get to get tested, you know, on that first Saturday in September, and that's going to be fun.
When you brought Troy in last year, I talked with him, and he said, yeah, he let me run my offense. Putting pride aside and saying, hey, I've had this offense that's worked. What went into that decision to say, hey, I trust you enough to run your stuff?
I wanted to grow, you know, and I'd been a primary play caller for 20 plus years, and we had done certain things, but once I don't care what business you're in, I don't care what profession, if you think you've got it all figured out and hey, what we do is good enough, and you never try and evolve, I think that's when you start getting passed up. So my point in hiring him, and it wasn't, you know, my thought process was, you know, we were going to be able to continue to do some things that were still within our foundation, but he was going to call it, and he was bringing in, I wanted new ideas and I wanted fresh ideas, and it was one of the, you know, I feel like one of my best coaching decisions I've ever made. I mean, I thought Troy Taylor did an incredible job, obviously, and incredible person. And for me now, coming out of it after just spending that, you know, 11 months with him, really what it was, I feel like now I've grown in what we can do and what I believe can be an intermix of some things I've always loved to do in the past, along with some fresh ideas from Coach Taylor.
You swiped a few things from him,
too.
Oh,
absolutely. Are you kidding? Yeah. Again, I think you're a knucklehead if you don't.
Are you excited to getting back to being a play caller now?
I am. I mean, there was times there too where, you know, I wanted, and I did probably jump in a few times, you know, yes I did, you know, but it's fun. It's fun to do that, and it's something that I've been passionate about for a long time. But I wouldn't trade. I still don't second guess what, obviously, and it went really well with Troy. It helped me step back. It helped me kind of see a big picture last year more than I ever have. Even though I'd been a head coach for a while, last year was the first really big picture approach I took, and saw special teams more and saw defense more and did some things that way. So as excited as I am, I really believe 2016 helped me a lot, even going forward now, you know, in terms of you know, what we're gonna do as an offense and as a play call.
Circling back to quarterbacks, what's the latest that you can recall ever having a number one chosen, and is there sort of a minimum timeline that's workable going into a year with a guy taking the most reps?
I did it week 13 one year, I think. I mean, we were battling back and forth and all year, so It's interesting. I mean, they're all getting an ample amount of reps in our structure and what we're doing, so I don't worry too much about it. I really don't. I don't get caught up. It's one of those things where I think it's better that right now they're continue to compete. We're still over 2 weeks away, so I think we have plenty of time for them just to continue to compete, and then you know, we'll get a better feel as we finish up this week.
All right, everybody good?
All right, thanks.